Hi, it's me, Mrs. Jenkins. I'm here on my nice comfy couch and I'm ready for story time. Find a comfortable place in your house where you can curl up and let's get ready for a really good book. It's been a while since we read A Cricket in Times Square, and the last time that we were reading, we found out that Chester was able to have concerts and entertain many people down in the subway. So let's pick up where we left off. Business boomed at the newsstand. Mama made sure that extra loads of magazines and newspapers were delivered. But even so, by closing time, they had sold out completely. Mama Bellini, by the way, turned out to be the best friend a cricket ever had. At noon, she would rush home and fix Chester some delicacy for lunch, like a midget fruit salad or an entire vegetable dinner so small you could serve it on a silver dollar. Chester really preferred his mulberry leaves, but he ate everything so as not to hurt her feelings. Siphon, who had seen Chester's pictures in the paper, kept Mario supplied with leaves. He and the Chinese gentleman dug out two collapsible chairs from his attic and came uptown every day at 8 and 4:30 to hear Chester's new programs. Mr. Smedley was there at least once a day, too. He brought a tape recorder and made recordings of all the new pieces Chester learned. And during the intermissions, there was always an intermission of 10 minutes halfway through the concert. He delivered short talks on musical appreciation to the audiences. So by Thursday, Chester Cricket was the most famous musician in New York City. But now, here's a strange thing. He wasn't really happy. Not the way he used to be. Life didn't seem to have the fun and freedom it had had before. For one thing, although he thought that glory was very nice, Chester found that it made you tired. Two concerts a day, every day, was an exhausting program. And he wasn't used to playing on schedule. Back home in the meadow, if the sun felt nice, or the moon was full, or if he wanted to have a musical conversation with his friend, the lark, he would chirp because the mood was on him. But here he had to begin performing at 8 and 4:30, whether he felt like it or not. Of course, he was very glad to be helping the Bellinis, but a lot of the joy was gone from his playing. And there was something else. Chester didn't like being looked at. It wasn't so bad while he was playing. Everyone was quiet, enjoying the music. But after the performance was over, the human beings crowded around and put their faces down close to the bars and poked their fingers through. Souvenir hunters had taken his paper cup and even the pieces of mulberry leaves that were left over. Chester knew they didn't mean any harm, but he couldn't get used to the idea that millions of eyes were staring at him. It got so bad that when the concerts were over, he took to crawling into the matchbox and pushing up a piece of Kleenex to block the entrance. Then on Thursday, three things happened that upset him very much. The first was September. It was the first day of a new month. Chester happened to glance up at the top of a copy of the Times where the date was, and there he saw it, September 1st. A new month and a new season, too. Autumn was almost upon them. For some reason, the thought of September, with all its changes, made Chester feel very small and lost. And that evening, while he was playing, a brown leaf, the first leaf of fall, blew into the station and landed right next to the cricket cage. Now, this leaf had come from New Jersey. A playful gust of wind danced it over the Hudson River and up 42nd Street and whisked it down the subway entrance. Chester was in the middle of a song when the leaf came down. It was such a shock to see this little reminder of all that was happening in the country that for a moment he couldn't continue. But then he realized where he was and forced himself to go on. Mario was the only one who noticed the break in the playing. But the worst thing happened after the concert was over. Chester was leaning up against the matchbox when suddenly 2 fingers began to work their way through the bars of the cage toward the little silver bell. They weren't Mama's fingers, or Papa's, or Mario's. Chester knew the hands of the Bellinis. Somebody was trying to steal the bell. The cricket chirped in alarm just as the man was about to pull it down. Papa turned around, saw what was happening, and shouted, "Hey, what are you doing?" The man disappeared into the crowd. Mama and Mario had been outside selling off the last of the day's papers. They came running back to the newsstand. "What is it?" panted Mama. "A thief," said Papa. "Is my cricket all right?" asked Mario anxiously. "Yes," said Papa. "He's in the matchbox." Mario picked up the box and looked in. There was Chester, piling a Kleenex against the opening. "You can come out now," the boy said. "It's safe." But Chester wouldn't come out. Mario had noticed that the cricket took to hiding after each recital, and it worried him. Mama Bellini was convinced that the man was a kidnapper, or rather, cricket-napper, not just a thief. But Papa told them how he had been going straight for the bell. "That bell belongs to my cricket," said Mario. "Mr. Fong gave it to him." He unfastened the bell and put it way back in the cash register drawer, next to Mama's earring, so it wouldn't tempt anyone else. Chester was still hiding in the matchbox. Mario gently pulled the Kleenex away and whispered, "Please come out." Chester stirred and chirped, but stayed where he was. "What's the matter with him?" said Papa. "I think he may be sick," said Mario. He coaxed Chester with a mulberry leaf. The cricket poked his head out of the matchbox. When he saw that the crowd had broken up, he jumped into the palm of Mario's hand. "You should take him to a bug doctor," said Mama. "What do you call them?" "Entomologists," said Mario, holding the leaf for Chester to nibble. "Take him to an entomologist," said Mama. "Oh, he might just be tired," said Papa. "We could give him a rest for a few days." Chester had eaten as much of the leaf as he wanted. He gave a short chirp for a thank you and jumped back in the box. "He isn't happy anymore," said Mario. "How do you know?" said Mama. "I can tell," said Mario. "I know how I'd feel if I were a cricket." Mario put the matchbox in the cricket cage. "Next week school begins," he said. "You've got to promise you'll take good care of him while I'm not here." "We will, Mario," said Papa. "We like him too, you know." The boy stood looking down at the cage. His forehead was drawn together in a worried frown. "I almost wish he hadn't come to New York, if he isn't going to be happy here," he said finally. Chester heard him and thought about what he had said. He thought about it while the Bellinis were fitting on the cover, and later in the darkness, after they'd gone home, He was still thinking about it. Then, quickly, like a lock snapping into place, something was decided in his mind. Chester felt very relieved after the decision had been made. He sighed, and his wings and his legs all relaxed as he waited there for Tucker Mouse.
Well, boys and girls, that's all we have time for today, but I'll see you tomorrow at story time.